This is the way. You've heard it 100 times. It's a rallying cry, a code, a religion. But here's what nobody asks. What happens when the way is wrong? Not wrong like a bad decision. Wrong like following it perfectly, never breaking it once, living and breathing every rule. And it still destroys everything you love. That's not a hypothetical. That's Din Djarin's entire arc. And it might be yours. The Mandalorian Creed is not a set of suggestions. It's absolute. You wear the armor. You never remove the helmet. You walk the way. Or you are nothing. Din Djarin didn't question it. He was a foundling, taken in, given purpose, given identity through the Creed. Before the Creed, he was a frightened child with nothing. After it, he was a warrior with everything he needed. And that's exactly the trap. Because the Creed didn't just give him a code, it gave him an identity. Strip away the armor, remove the helmet, break a single rule. And who is he? He doesn't know. That's terrifying for any man. The Stoics had a word for this. Externals. Things outside your true self that you mistake for who you are. Your job, your reputation, your rules, your armor. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if you will ever dig." Din Djarin never dug. He polished the armor instead. Then a small, green, impossibly ancient child changed everything. Grogu wasn't part of the way. Protecting him wasn't in the Creed. In fact, the logical, rule-following move was to complete the contract, deliver the asset, move on. He couldn't do it. And this is the moment most people miss. That hesitation, that single moment where Din Djarin looked at Grogu and chose him over the contract, that wasn't weakness. That was the first time he acted from something deeper than the code. The Tao Te Ching says, knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment. The Creed taught Din Djarin to know the enemy, survive the mission, honor the code. It never taught him to know himself. Grogu did. There's a scene that rewrote everything. Din Djarin removes his helmet, not because he was forced to, not because he had no choice. He removes it so Grogu can see his face before they're separated. The Children of the Watch, his sect, called it an apostasy. You break the Creed, you are no longer Mandalorian. You are cast out. He did it anyway. Think about what that costs. His entire identity, his tribe, the only family structure he had known since childhood. He traded all of it for one moment of human connection. The Stoics would call this preferred indifference, things that have value but are not the highest good. The Creed had value, belonging had value, but they were not the highest good. Love was. Epictetus wrote, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Din Djarin grieved his helmet for one episode. Then he moved forward. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Here's what The Mandalorian is actually about. It's not about armor. It's not about codes. It's about a man who was handed an identity before he was old enough to choose one, and the slow, painful, violent process of finding out who he actually is underneath it. And that's a story for every man alive. How many of you are wearing armor right now? Not Beskar. The armor of not showing emotion. The armor of never asking for help. The armor of being defined by what you do rather than who you are. The code that says, don't be vulnerable. Don't be soft. This is the way. The Mandalorian didn't abandon the way. He found a deeper one that wasn't handed to him, one he chose. The Tao Te Ching says, "A man with outward courage dares to die. A man with inward courage dares to live." Djarin dared to live, without the helmet, without the tribe's approval, with a child who needed a father more than a warrior. So, was the creed wrong? No. The creed kept him alive. It gave him structure when he had nothing. It made him formidable. That matters. But a code that becomes a cage is no longer a code. It's a prison with beautiful walls. The Mandalorian and Grogu releases this week. And if you watch it through this lens, you're not watching a space western. You're watching a man finish the work of becoming himself. The question isn't whether Djarin followed the way. The question is, what way are you following? And does it lead to who you actually want to become? This is the way. Subscribe to The Abundant Monk. New video every week. Ancient wisdom through the stories that already live in you.